Did I hear 4K? Today is all about that juicy 4K, that crispness. Jumping onto Forza Horizon 3 for the first one because it has been Xbox One X enhanced, which means sometimes it looks prettier. What doesn't look any prettier is the really long syncing data screens. Why it's so long? I have no idea. And you may know what this thing is. This is an Elgato HD60 Pro. And recently, this became obsolete. By recently, I mean a few months ago. I mean, okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It hasn't become obsolete, but to me, it did because they gave me a 4K 60 Pro. Now, this is a new Elgato, and this new Elgato is capable of doing 4K and anything in between. One thing I'd be interested to try is actually, will it properly work with ultrawide? Because ultrawide would be like the perfect bloody thing. Oh my, can I do it? I'll try it at some point. I might ask them for a cheeky another one just so I can have the dual PC setup. You know. Well, that text looks extra crisp. I'm not exactly sure if the screenshots here are actually 4K. They look pretty much the same as they did before, so I'm not gonna jump on that and say that they look amazing because they look exactly the same as they did before. Loading screen takes longer, and here we have a little bit more crispy. That actually looks pretty good. Why am I driving this? I don't know, but we're going to back away and drive something a little bit more exciting. So the menus instantly look a lot crisper, a lot more done up for the most part. Forza was never a bad looking game. It's always been a really good looking game. The RCF is the vehicle of choice, and honestly, the car model doesn't look too different as to what it normally does. I think, for the most part, what they've done is enhance this game. And by that, what they mean is they've pretty much, for the most part, you can tell it's a little bit sharper. And I can't really tell much different than that. I know that the PC version at launch had 4K support, so I'm not going to say that it doesn't actually have 4K because this game probably does have 4K. But the texture in the background, massively, have been scaled back. I think if you played against the 1080p version, it probably wouldn't look as good. But when things are up close and personal, it's going to look better. And that's for the most part what you're going to get with console 4K, is you're going to get some improvements, but some scaling back because the consoles, as much as the Xbox One X is a powerhouse as a console, that kind of thing, honestly, it still isn't as good as you would get, say, on a maxed out PC, obviously. I mean, my CPU costs twice as much as the Xbox, so that in itself, the trees look good, and for the most part, I think the models are showing their age now on Forza because of this 4K. But this video isn't just about the Forza experience. If you want to play Forza, it's available in 4K and it actually run better and look better, even if you've got a standard 1080p TV now. I think that's pretty cool that it does that on the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. But about the Elgato 4K 60, now I've been using it for the past couple of months. A lot of the time, most people won't really notice. I don't think more than 2%, 1% of people will actually be watching this video in 4K. If you are watching in 4K, let me know down in the comments. Tell me that you're a smooth G. I feel like the quality of the interiors is actually better than the exteriors. Might just be. What about the traffic cars? Are they bumped up? I think they might be actually. Why does his car look higher quality than mine? Is it? It can't. Surely not. It bloody looks it. I haven't been recording most things in 4K. And the reason is not the fault of the Elgato, because the Elgato is absolutely awesome. I love the thing so much, and I want to use it more often. The problem is, obviously, I mostly play consoles, and we're currently in the topsy-turvy area of games actually coming out in 4K. When they do come out in 4K, sometimes it's not really worth it. For example, when I played Payback on the video of the Xbox One X versus PS4 Pro, if you want to see that clip, go watch it. The game didn't look great. It really didn't. And the quality of the textures didn't seem to be improved. Nothing seemed to be improved other than, obviously, the output resolution, which necessarily isn't really that big of a deal. When the output of resolution is bumped up, it doesn't matter too much. And again, at the end of it, most people aren't even watching in 4K right now, so that's the main problem. It's a great step. It's a fantastic step, and I'm so glad that Elgato decided to do it because I was waiting for it for bloody ages, and now they can finally do it. And now getting quite a few more 4K quality titles, so even if it's just the special kind of voodoo magic that Microsoft do to bump a resolution up from like a 1080p game and it makes it look a little bit better when you bump it up to 4K, whatever. The dynamic scaling, all this kind of stuff that Sony does and Microsoft does, it's good and all, but it's not actually 4K. But it does mean that I'm pretty much waiting and hoping that when games do come out that they'll have a good 4K mode, if you will, to actually make it worthwhile doing. I'm going to say I think that the next consoles, the next generation, will probably begin in the next couple of years, 2 to 3 years. it makes sense to do so because these consoles are PC hardware. They're lacking. This is why we needed a mid-generation jump to kind of at least get a little bit more oomph in there. The main difference is in the sharpness here. I think some of these things are so sharp. It's so good. It's mostly the barriers, if I'm totally honest with you. The textures on the ground, I'm not exactly sure if they properly are. They've seemed to be improved, but again, with the whole idea of them saying enhanced on Xbox, it makes me think like some of maybe if it part of it isn't actually properly 4K. If it is, maybe it's dynamic, but you can see over there we actually have quite a bit of quality over there, which is quite nice. The Elgato itself, I'm really enjoying having it because I limited myself to not playing games in 4K and playing them in 1080p. Mainly because I couldn't record them. When I wanted to record something, I went back and I wanted to, you know, hit that record button like that. I missed that amazing clip. I couldn't do that before because I was playing in 4K and I couldn't record in 4K because the old Elgato didn't allow us to do that, or any other capture card didn't allow us to do that. Well, now I'm actually able to play in 4K and record in 4K and just keep the capture thing open. So if I do anything cool, I can just go, wow. I just hit that record. Oh, skyline. I think over the next few months / years of these new consoles, because they've just really started to kick out and properly come back, I think we're going to see a lot more 4K quality stuff coming up. Because the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro, both options, both mainstream console options, now have a 4K mode, like a 4K console. So since there's a PS4 Pro and Xbox One X out now, it makes sense that more games are going to start to come out supporting this crazy resolution format. And it means my Elgato is going to get insane usage. Which, can I just say, the first update they released properly for the software before, when it came out, and then they released like an update like a week later, it made it bloody rapid. I was kind of, if a 4K would actually become the mainstream format, and the amount of people that I know that are starting to buy 4K TVs and buy these Pro consoles, even if they don't have 4K TVs, they're planning to get one. I think in a few years' time, we'll actually get to the point where 1080p is the new HD ready. And you know, people that have HD ready TV, you know, some people actually still sell them. I went on Argos, I think it was. Argos and Amazon, and they still have HD ready TVs. Why you would buy a HD ready TV, I don't bloody know. Because you can get a proper full HD TV now for bloody cheap as chips. And that's what I think that's going to happen. I think we're going to get rid of the HD readiness. We're going to get rid of the 1080p as such as being mainstream, and 4K is going to come into effect. And it's going to make more sense for people like me to produce more 4K content. I produce 4K videos every now and again. You'll notice that some of the videos I do are 4K, some are not. I mean, for the most part, one of my main issues as well is that my camera is 1080p, and when I play a game on 4K, I feel kind of wrong almost. I feel wrong having this 1080p video feed on a 4K thing, which it's perfectly fine when it's in the window, but when I bulk it out, it's stretching 1080p. So as said, I think this is the early adoption phase. 4K will become much more mainstream over time, including the fact that mobile phones are starting to support higher resolutions. I mean, a few years ago, I had a phone that supported 2K resolution. All the iPhones, which are now starting to support, are basically, I think, about 2K resolution. It's between 1080 and 2K. It's higher than 1080, but another thing I always like to think is 4K the future, or is ultra-wide the future? Because if you think about it, both of the top kind of selling marketed phones, which is the Samsung S8 and the iPhone 10, whatever, those two phones, both of them have ultra-wide resolutions. Which I want to find out, will the Elgato actually be able to record an ultra-wide monitor or something? I think that might be quite cool if it actually manages to do that, because it's below 4K resolution, but it's a different aspect ratio. And this aspect ratio, will that become the new kind of norm eventually? Is this the early phase of when we get 4K ultra-wide, for example? Is that going to be the replacing of 16:9? There's so many things. I love talking about tech. I don't know why I didn't do a bloody tech channel. But either way, I'd love to know. Let me know your thoughts down below. 4K, do you actually have a 4K TV? Do you have a 4K console and have a 1080p TV? Let me know your current situation. Are you using a HD ready TV? Are you doing some voodoo magic to make your standard definition TV work with your Xbox One X or your PS4 Pro? I don't know, but let me know your situations. I'd love to know, and maybe I'll make some more 4K videos if you guys want to see them. Obviously, I'm going to do them quite often once I actually get more games that are actually able to do 4K, and maybe when I start investing properly in a 4K camera, because I still don't have one. I mean, I do. My little tiny camera does, but not there. Be sure to smash like, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until next time, guys, peace.